Hello dear guys, this is Anil Kumar Shrivastava from Obishala. My app is AKCS2121. Anil Kumar Shrivastava from Obishala. My app is AKCS2121. Today we are going to discuss BPSC mains paper first 66. We are going to discuss 66 BPSC mains exams paper first IR and current affairs. Let me start discussing it. Let me first read out the question. Explain the 12th BRICS Summit's major emerging issues. Partnership for global stability, shared security and innovative growth for the development. It was the theme. Global stability, shared security and innovative growth. This was the theme. Explain the 12th BRICS Summit major emerging issues. Hence, we would be focusing on this one together with the mention of this one. Let me start it. The 12th BRICS Summit, tell BRICS, coined Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. A term coined by Jim O'Neill in 2001 minus, it was minus Africa. Then it was BRIC only. The 12th BRICS Summit was recently held, that is in November 2020 in Russia. It had been chaired by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. I would like to tell you, say after mentioning this one, this background, say start writing straight away. Emerging themes. Shri Narendra Modi, as India's head of government, attended this through video conferencing and chose to highlight some of the issues that had been emerging and taking shape at the international arena, broadly say reflecting the consensual views of different global leaders. Narendra Modi highlighted the following point. The first one was the terrorism. Ever since Narendra Modi came to power in 2014, I would like to tell you, whichever international fora he attended, say right since Indo-ASEAN Summit held at Naypyidaw, the new capital of Myanmar. Later he attended G20 Summit at Brisbane in Australia, and say in fact he also attended SAARC Summit at Kathmandu. I would like to tell you, say in the last week of November 2014, everywhere he highlighted this point of terrorism. In fact, the world has been in the grip of international terrorism, global terrorism, despite the fact that India's suggestion for the CCIT had not been accepted by the United Nations Security Council. I would like to tell you that this way Narendra Modi had chosen to in fact indirectly make insinuations at Pakistan and China for for being in cahoot with terrorists who had been who have been rather in fact spawning a reign of terror on the Indian soil from across the border. That's why terrorism has been one of the major emerging points from the perspective of India, which Narendra Modi had chosen to highlight then. I would like to tell you, India stated that the biggest problem that the world is currently facing is terrorism. There is a need to confront the countries which support and sponsor terrorism. Narendra Modi wanted that those countries, without naming Pakistan, those countries which are sponsoring terrorism and funding terrorist activities must be held accountable for this one and must be in fact isolated at the international arena. India also acknowledged the support of Russia to the BRICS counter-terrorism strategy and further reiterated India's support for it. I would like to tell you, this way Narendra Modi chose to highlight the menace that the global terrorism had created. Second point that he chose to focus upon was United Nations Security Council reforms. So while highlighting the first point, you should not miss this. The second point too was an emerging issue. In fact, ever since Narendra Modi had been at the forefront of global leadership, he has never missed this idea of suggesting reforms in the United Nations Security Council and highlighting its current malaise that it has been afflicted with. Under the United Nations Security Council reforms, he chose to in fact highlight the issue of credibility and effectiveness of the institutions which are important for global governance and urged other BRICS members to support this move. The third point that he chose to focus upon was in fact COVID-19 pandemic. Not only India but almost all the entire world, what I mean to say, all the other countries, what I mean to say, had been in the grip of say corona pandemic or COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, even today, say the corona pandemic say has taken its toll in many countries. So he chose to highlight this point too. Then when in November 2020 the 12th BRICS summit was held, in fact even Russia was say facing or reeling under the corona pandemic, and so was China. In fact, China had been the main culprit, as had been charged and has been charged by several countries, including of course several members of the European Union and of course United States. So say the third point that he highlighted was ongoing COVID-19 say pandemic. He in fact sought global help in this regard to contain the corona pandemic and to relieve the humanity of this scourge. He said, as the world is hopeful for COVID-19 vaccines, India underscored the issue of cooperation amongst the BRICS partners on the production of the COVID-19 vaccines. He attempted to play India's soft power role on the international arena, saying that India chose to supply its COVID vaccine to almost 150 countries. In fact, then still India's vaccine effort was under pipeline or in pipeline, but he still said that he promised, what I mean to say, that once India develops COVID vaccine, India would be the first country to do so. So I would like to tell you that he promised that 42% of the world's population resides in the BRICS member nations. And being the major economies of the world, these nations will play an important part in the recovery of the post-COVID-19 world. So he highlighted that once India develops a COVID-19 vaccine, it would be in a position to supply it to all the BRICS members as whosoever wanted it, and also to other countries in order to contain this corona vaccine. In fact, he attempted to play the soft power role, say indirectly, with a view to in fact downsize China at the fora, at that forum. The fourth point that he chose to highlight, in fact, say it was Atmanirbhar Bharat, which he had already in fact made an announcement for in May, in August, in October, say 2020. I would like to tell you, he introduced this topic say as a point to show that India is on the path of self-reliance, and it is well there, and it is attempting to act as a force multiplier at the global level insofar as global economy is concerned. In the post-COVID-19 world, he wanted to drive home the fact that once the world starts recovering from the corona pandemic and the world's economy say attempts to come on the path of recovery and gain say space or pace, speedier pace, what I mean to say, then say India would be in the forefront, India would be in the vanguard as a leader to lead such recovery say spree, such recovery in fact say attempt or effort. Under this campaign, India delivered essential medicines to more than 150 countries later, what I told you, which he in fact promised still when say COVID vaccines were under pipeline, they were still in the process of being developed, while the United States of America was in the final stage of testing them. But India 2 months later, in January 2021, launched its COVID vaccines. I would like to tell you, still while India was doing its effort to develop COVID vaccines, and such efforts were in pipeline, still Narendra Modi made a promise, just as I told you, to play India's soft power role at the international forum, with an indirect effort to downsize, to cut to size, what I mean to say, China. In fact, this was in keeping with in this view. So these are some of the major highlights. I discussed the theme. Theme in fact itself has been explained here. The theme was global stability, shared security and innovative growth for the development. I told you this was the theme. So mention this one with a brief introduction of earlier BRIC, later it BRICS. You can introduce it in fact this way, saying that earlier it was coined as BRIC by Jim O'Neill, as I mentioned you. Later in 2000, after its first summit was held at Ekaterinburg in Russia, thereafter it was decided to include South Africa as well in this one. In fact, South Africa, India and Brazil had already been there under IBSA, except Russia and China, which has been in this one in BRICS, which have been in BRICS later, which have joined BRICS later. So make a brief introduction and thereafter discuss all these highlights. I told you 4 points: terrorism, United Nations Security Council reforms, ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So write it from the Indian perspective, from the perspective of the Indian Prime Minister, that he chose to highlight it. Say thank you for watching this. Hello dear guys, this is Anil Kumar Shrivastava from Mobishala. My app is AKCS2121. Today we are discussing 66th BPSC mains, that is written exams questions, providing you model answers to such questions. I am discussing IR and current affairs. Let me discuss the second point. There are 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat. In fact, let me first read out the question. examine the recent basic features and provisions. Features and provisions of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Under features, discuss 5 pillars. Under provisions, discuss specific provisions. Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, in fact, the focus has been on this one. After the spread of COVID-19 pandemic with special reference to India. So, first discuss the 5 pillars. Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana was announced by Narendra Modi ji, India's Prime Minister, in May 2020 after the nationwide lockdown was announced in March 2020 by his government, by himself in fact. Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana was set at a time when China was troubling India at the borders, say sharing it in Ladakh, what I mean to say, especially in eastern Ladakh area, say where in fact China was holding ground and attempted to encroach upon Indian territory in several parts, be it Gogra Post, be it Hot Springs, be it say Depsang, and more importantly at Finger Point area. I would like to tell you, it was announced at that time say by Narendra Modi ji, who wants and his government wants in fact to gain upper hand in manufacturing sector and elsewhere, also in the creation of employment. But first let me discuss the 5 pillars of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana announced by India's Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji in May 2020. Economy, an economy that brings quantum jump rather than incremental change. Incremental change means simply a change that say adds up something to the previously designed say efforts or designed schemes. For example, what has been coming there since the days of Congress and other predecessors, say adding up something new to this one. For example, say this Rozgar Guarantee Yojana, that is a Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee scheme, or Manregs you can say. In fact, it was announced or it was launched by Dr. Manmohan Singh government, but Narendra Modi government in fact has just say brought it along, or has say in fact been taking it along under his own government as an incremental approach. That is, for example, earlier around 40,000 crore rupees had been say set aside or earmarked for or with the purpose to spend it on the Manregs, but Narendra Modi government has gradually increased it up to 60,000 crore rupees. I would like to tell you that say this is an incremental approach. But Narendra, however, I am not telling you that you should not in fact write in the exam that Narendra Modi government wishes anything to change this one, because according to Jayati Ghosh and CP Chandrasekhar, Manregs has been the biggest job creator in the rural areas. So say in fact especially for the women and say members of the SC STs, that is for the weaker sections of the society, for the disadvantaged section, 60% of them in fact benefited from this scheme. So Narendra Modi government can't discontinue this scheme to earn the wrath of the people, rural people. So under economy, despite all such things, say in fact under economy, Narendra Modi government has attempted to introduce some new features so that people should turn manufacturers job givers, what I mean to say, not job seekers. Second one is infrastructure, and infrastructure that became the identity of modern India with the latest art of what I'll say art of the technology, or with the latest technology, say infrastructure development need to be there. System, a system that is driven by technology which can fulfill the dreams of the 21st century, a system not based on the policy of the past century. In other words, the system as a whole should not follow the incremental approach. Demography is the fourth pillar. Say under the demography, the Narendra Modi government desires, in fact, to focus on the strength of the world's largest democracy, the source of, in fact, to reap the rich harvest of the demographic dividend, and also become self-reliant in energy. That's why Narendra Modi government has taken so many initiatives in the field of, or in the direction of, renewable energy. Demand is the fifth pillar, the cycle of demand and supply chain in our economy. Say on the basis of which demand supply chain, as it is called, it has seen China to say make a phenomenal rise on the global economic front. So Narendra Modi want the similar robust demand supply chain in our economy. According to him, it is the strength that needs to be harnessed to its full potential. I would like to tell you, besides this one, five pillars, we should also discuss the provisions, and it should remain confined to Rozgar creation. Here our focus should be on MSME sector, and also on the migrant workers. So emergency credit line, I would like to tell you, under this one, MSME sector, NBFC and other businesses would get 25, who in fact are trying to become Atmanirbhar, what I mean, or which are trying to become Atmanirbhar, I would like to tell you, they would in fact get government support, if their total outstanding, or in fact their total turnover a year is 100 crore. They are eligible for government support, that is the credit line. In fact, as you know, last year that when Nirmala Sitharaman and Anurag Thakur said to announce specific items of Atmanirbhar Bharat, they said that 3 lakh crore rupees had been earmarked for the MSME sector. They would get it at the guarantee of the government, and besides they would also get 12 months moratorium on the principal repayment. So I would like to tell you that this was made available to them with a cheaper interest rate of 4%, and this needed to be kept, announced by the government that it would be kept. It was expected that 45 lakh MSME units would benefit from this scheme. Besides, 20,000 crore rupees debt had been announced for the MSME sector, for the stressed MSME sector, what I mean to say. Besides equity infusion, all such things had been done with the sole purpose of providing jobs to the unemployed one. I would like to tell you that MSME is the largest employer in the country, with around 35 lakh of employment being generated by them. I would like to tell you, besides this one, migrant workers were also given or announced to be given food grains under the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme. Food department allocated around 4 lakh metric ton of food grain per month, and a total of 8 lakh metric ton for a period of 2 months, that is in May and June 2020 alone. This was sufficient to cover about 8 crore migrant stranded workers who lost their jobs. I would like to tell you, besides these ones, when you discuss all these things, I told you that first discuss emergency credit line to be given to the businesses, MSMEs and NBFCs, non-bank finance companies. Thereafter, you should discuss the credit line, additional credit line for the stressed borrowers, MSME borrowers, what I mean to say, or MSME sectors. Third one, you should discuss equity infusion, and all your focus should be on the employment generation or the persons employed by the MSME sector. So because the focus is on the Rozgar Yojana, I would like to tell you, all such schemes attempted to create additional employment during the COVID pandemic, absorbing all the migrant workers, whose numbers according to the government itself varied from I would like to tell you from 2 lakhs to 6 lakh. I would like to, however, from the CMI data, CMIE CMIE, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Around 14 crore migrant workers lost their job during COVID pandemic. I would like to tell you, according to CMIE, around 23 crore unemployed, army of unemployed has been added to the Indian economy during the COVID pandemic. In fact, 23 crore people lost their jobs. So I would like to tell you that such a data has to be given by you. Besides, you should also quote some other things. I would like to tell you what, say under the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, Defense Minister, Union Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh announced that 101 high and middle technology items like howitzer, transport aircraft, helicopters, assault rifles, submarines and corvettes, all such things which had earlier been imported from abroad will be steadily designed and manufactured in India. In fact, all such contracts have been given to HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, to create additional job, that would range from 2 lakh to 3 lakh. I would like to tell you, this way Narendra Modi government has attempted to create Rozgar, that is employment under the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme. With this one, you would be able to discuss this entire question. So focus on the features, that is discuss 5 pillars, and thereafter the provisions with a special reference to Rozgar creation, that is employment generation. And this way you should discuss Manregs, you should discuss MSME sector, you should discuss defense sector. Say this way you will be able to in fact cover the entire topics needed to be included in your answer. So this way you would be able to answer it rightly. Thank you for watching this. Hello dear guys, this is Anil Kumar Shrivastava from Mobishala. My app is AKCS 2121. Anil Kumar Shrivastava from Mobishala. My app is AKCS 2121. You should download this app and watch all the uploaded videos and lectures there. We are discussing BPSC 66 BPSC mains, that is written exams held today. In fact, we are providing you model answers to the questions being asked under IR and current affairs. I am Anil Kumar Shrivastava. I am discussing questions related to IR and current affairs. Let me read out the next question and discuss it accordingly. Discuss between the India and European broad-based trade and investment, which is called in fact BTIA, broad-based trade and investment agreement, BTIA. Discuss say the basic features. We would be discussing it. I would like to tell you, say after reading out the question, say discuss it this way. Start telling that in 2007 when Dr. Manmohan Singh was India's Prime Minister, say a consensus reached between India and the European 27 nations, right now it is 26 one. In fact, say after the walking out of the European Union of Great Britain, its strength has been reduced to 26 from 27. I would like to tell you, but don't discuss these things, discuss simply these things this way. In 2007, India and European Union reached a consensus with their talks on this BTIA. They thought it would lead to the signing of SIPA. Discuss in this one. Though India had signed SICA, Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, and SIPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, with 20 countries, so far it has not signed these things with any country outside Asia. In fact, all these 20 countries belong to Asia. So should it be signed or should it happen with the EU? It would be for the first time that India would be signing a SICA or SIPA with a country outside Asia. That's why say that would in fact add a new feather to India's global effort to rope in foreign investment and foreign largesse to Indian market, I would like to tell you. So in fact, India has been negotiating this EU since 2007. You should say note these things in introduction, and also mention that though India has signed SICA or SIPA with 20 countries, it has not signed any such agreement with any country outside Asia. All 20 countries in fact belong to Asia. So should it be signed with EU, it would be the first time that India would be signing it with a country outside Asia. This way your introduction is complete. Now discuss the broad-based trade and investment agreement negotiations, and also discuss some of the shortcomings, or you can say some of the hitch points, or you can say some of the hitches or glitches that had crept in between India and European Union. So discuss first discuss the basics of this one. I would like to tell you, after making introductions, you should start discussing these things, saying that India and EU expect to promote bilateral trade by removing barriers to trade in goods and services and investment across all sectors of the economy under the above negotiations. It is negotiations, it is not agreement. Both parties believe that a comprehensive and ambitious agreement that is consistent with WTO rules and principles would open new markets and would expand opportunities for India and the European Union businesses. The negotiations cover trade in goods, trade in services, investment, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, technical barriers to trade, trade remedies, rules of origin, customs and trade facilitation, competition, trade defense, government procurement, dispute settlement, intellectual property rights, and geographical indications, besides sustainable development. So far, 15 rounds of negotiations have been held alternately at Brussels and New Delhi. However, still there are certain hiccups that remain to be addressed. I would like to tell you that these are the following hiccups. One, relating to opening of Indian market for EU's auto sector. I would be discussing this. Second one, relate to raising FDI in insurance sector. This has been addressed. They wanted it to be raised to more than 51% or more than 49%, which happened In fact, then when negotiation started, it was just 26%. And third one relate to data secure status. Data secure status. Let me discuss these 3 points. The European Union wants that India should dismantle all trade barriers and open its market for auto sectors of the European Union. But here in India, say automakers or auto giants like Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Sons and Maruti Suzuki, in fact they have met the Indian Prime Minister. First in fact they met the Indian Finance Minister and other ministers, say requesting them not to open the Indian market for European Union's say auto sectors, as it would lead to serious in fact breach in auto sectors trust that they repose in India, as they are reeling under several strain. I would like to tell you, then even after 2007 they witnessed a slump, unprecedented slump in the auto sector, and they were in fact incurring huge losses. So they did not want that such things should happen, where they are pitted against the cheaper items say imported from abroad, and this way they virtually are ruined. So accordingly they met Dr. Manmohan Singh, and later met in fact India's finance minister in 2017, when Arun Jaitley was India's finance minister. So they want that before settling down on such negotiations, their plight should be taken into account. Second one relate to raising of the FDI cap in the insurance sector, which Narendra Modi government had already announced that it would raise FDI cap in insurance sector from 26% first to 51%, and right now to 74%. So this question is this matter is right now out of sight, and this has already been settled. So we should not talk this one. Then it was the hitch. The third one, data security status. India wants European Union to accord or to grant in fact data security status to Indian operators, telecom operators, what I mean to say. By granting data security status means European Union's regulator, they would not force Indian telecom operator to share their customers' data, be it SMS or call data, with them. But the European Union says, since confidentiality atmosphere architecture in India is very low, is say not trustworthy, so they can't immediately grant this status. So besides these 3 issues, in fact in May 2014 itself, when Narendra Modi came to power, some European Union countries in fact put a ban on India's mangoes import. So besides this one, Italian Marines case, which is now a settled case after the Supreme Court in fact asked the Italian government to pay compensation say to the victims of say Italian Marines fire. So this seems to be settled, but there are still some issues to be addressed. More importantly, the remaining 2, that is opening of India's market to European Union auto sector, and secondly say grant of data security status, besides the import of mango issue and some other issues related to FDI, or say this agreement in trade and goods, trade in goods and trade in services, both, what I mean to say. So especially with the focus on rules of origin. So after discussing this one, you will be able to discuss this entire question. In fact, you will be able to provide a model answer to this question. Thank you for watching this.